And we are here looking at what is all of this and what does this have to do with winterizing a raw living foods diet? Well, let's have a look, shall we? Well, here we have lemons. This one is Mayor Lemon. We've got some hot jalapeno peppers are not as hot as these are. These will definitely bring the fire to your winter diet. And these are all fruits that we can definitely be enjoying now. And of course, we've got here some burdock root. And we've got some daikon radish, which I've already peeled. And we also have the tamarind. Now, unfortunately, most people in North America have never seen a tamarind tree and do not know what a tamarind is. I use it quite often, and I very often use it for the tart. It's like a sweet tarty taste, depending on the tree. And I'm going to be using it today. What I did with this was I made it into a paste. And for this paste, we're going to be actually using this instead of the lemon juice, although I still will use some lemon, but instead of using a lot of the lemon juice, I'll use more of this. It all depends on your taste. So of course, we've got ginger, we've got carrots. Let's get started. So I already made the carrot juice. I pre-made this, and I also made it with ginger and with daikon. So all that has already been done. There's your carrot juice. It's approximately just a little over 2 cups of the carrot juice because we're making a carrot soup today. So in addition, what you have here are some organic spices. These are pretty incredible as far as I'm concerned, and you'll find them a lot in India. So you'll see that there's cardamom in there. There's a little bit of clove. There is, of course, cinnamon bark. We must have that cinnamon in there. And we also have a little bit of other spices such as, but I don't use black pepper. Normally in garam masala, black pepper is used. I find that it really irritates the lining of the digestive tract. So I tend to use this instead. This is cayenne pepper. So we will be using some cayenne pepper, which I'm going to take out of here. And we're going to be putting this a little bit. We don't have to use a lot because we're going to be using other peppers. It's really up to you how hot or spicy. Now, let's say you say, I don't like spicy, but I'd like to make sure that this food is, warm enough for me. If you can heat it up in a dehydrator, or if you're not using a Blendtec, which I'm using right now, if you're using a powerful one like a Vitamix, you can put the soup in there and that will actually warm it up for you. But here we go. This is how the jalapeno pepper is what I'm recommending to those of you who don't like spicy heat. This is what a jalapeno is before it is ripe. This is it when it's ripe. In the raw food world, we need to make sure we eat all our fruits ripe. So this is the fruit of the jalapeno before it's ripened. This is it when it's ripened. And so we are using it when it's ripened. So now it's very mild. Jalapenos are the mildest fruits. So mildest peppers, I should say, as a fruit. So I'm just going to put in a small amount here. See, we have this that I'm putting in. And I'm also putting in another kind of pepper. This is a bell pepper, which we're going to be putting in now as well. So not a lot, just enough to really make sure we have enough fruits in there. See? And then I'm going to also put in some onions. This particular onion is a white onion. You can put in whatever onions you want. I won't be putting garlic in this. You've got to be careful overusing garlic. So I know a lot of people in the raw food use a lot of garlic. So putting this in here. Now, I am going to also, to salt it and to give it much more nutritional value, I am using dulse seaweed. I use seaweed a lot in the winter. And so the dulse is pretty fine. I have it in a very airtight container. That's why it took so long to open it. It's very important for me to keep it really dry. So this is the dulse that I'm going to be putting in there now. Now, not a lot. It depends on how salty you want it, but it has a lot of mineral. The mineral content is what I'm looking for. So I'm putting 2 in there for that reason. But I could have put more. The reason why I am not putting more is because I have this already pre-made into a paste, and I will be showing in a different episode of the show, Elegantly Raw, how to make this paste and keep it with you so you have it on hand. And this is a combination of sea moss, bladderwort, turmeric, and ginger made into a paste and kept in the fridge. So I'm putting that in there as well. See what it looks like? I love just looking at it just like this alone, but you do need to keep in the fridge just so you know. It's like a gel, like a jelly, it ends up being. So I'm putting that in there. Depends on, again, how much you want to put in there. It's totally up to you how much you put in there. Now, because I'm such a big moringa person, the moringa, I'm putting some greens in there because it's winter and I want some greens. So I'm putting a little bit of moringa in there, not too much because I don't want it to overtake all the other tastes. So just about this much I'm putting in, because this is only about 2 cups of carrot juice. I made that just before the show, so it would be still very fresh. So a wee bit of moringa. Now, for those of you who prefer to have salt in there, I'm putting in a light gray sea salt in there from Celtic sea salt, and this is the light gray variety. And because I like if I'm using salts, I don't like it then I'm doing it right here. See, you do it on the spot, so it still has most of the minerals and the moisture in it as well. You put in as much as you would prefer to have in there, of course. A wee bit of the lemon juice from the Meyer lemon, just a small amount, because the reason why I'm only putting a tiny amount is because I prefer to put the tamarind paste. Now, for the tamarind paste, you take the tamarind. Let me show you the tamarind for those of you who do not know the tamarind. There it is. And you open it up. You just crack it open. You take the paste. There you go. Well, first of all, you have to take the seed out first. And then, so these are they come in pretty much the same shape and the same form all the time. But you take the seed out, you take the flesh, you put it into a mortar and a pestle, and you grind it, and you make the paste. Now, I do it way ahead of time so that I have quite a lot of the paste so that I can use, so I don't just have a little bit of the paste. So here we have it. This is what it looks like after you've ground it out, after you've put it in the mortar and pestle and you've been playing with it there. So I happen to really, really, really love tamarinds. And I do use them a lot in the summer and winter, actually. I try not to overuse it, just like everything else. I try to have a lot of variety in my meals. And now, that's the main things that I'm putting in there for today. So remember, I already have the ginger and the turmeric in there because it's in this paste with the bladderwort and the sea moss that I showed you. So we can actually start putting this in the blender and put the blender on. So let's go. And that's it for that. I'm going to do it more because, of course, we have those spices in there, which I didn't grind ahead of time. I prefer to put this straight in the blender. But the reason why is because I now want to put in some fat, some avocados. So I'm depends on how much you want in there, because it's winter for me where I am. And I happen to like a lot of fat in the winter. I am actually going to put in 2 small avocados. These are pretty small, as you can see. but I'm putting the flesh in there, putting this in now, and this will add to all the nutrient value, the protein, and of course the fat is the main thing because it's winter for me. Now, Dr. Doug Graham says 10% fat. I think I've used up all the 10% already in this because I'm putting in another one in there. So here we go. And it's up to you. I like to have my soups in the winter be very creamy and thick. So I might even put in another one for myself, if depending on how it turns out. But you test it, you see, because the beauty about making this in the blender is you can add more if you want. Always add less than more at the beginning, and then you can always add more later. Now, I already put the daikon when I juiced the carrot. I already put the daikon and juiced it there along with some ginger as well. So there's a little ginger in here. And I use a combination of carrots. So you can use whatever carrots you wish to. I, of course, use mainly this to color it, but you can use whatever it is that you want to use in there. So now I have everything. I'm going to start it again and redo this again. Okay, that ought to do it. So the smells, by the way, in this kitchen are intoxicating right now because not only do you have the garam masala, oh, it's just as thick as I like it. It's nice and thick the way I like it. So here we have some kimchi. This is fermented cabbage with carrots. And so for winter, I use a lot of fermented foods. And see how thick this is? This is very thick. This is the way I like my soups in the winter. In the summer, when you can see here how thick it is when I pour it out. In the summer, I happen to like my soups in the summer to be more liquidy, but in the winter, they must be thick for me. So it's up to you. Don't put in as much avocado if you want it to be thinner, or put in more of, or simply put in more of the juice, the mixture of the carrot and the daikon juice. I did put in a little bit of the burdock root as well in there, but now I'm going to actually decorate it with some of the daikon as well. And I'm going to be putting some, this is sprouted pumpkin seeds. I'm going to be putting all that on, but this is what the basic soup is like, your winter soup to get you through the winter on a chilly, lovely, snowy morning, evening, or day. And while I put some more things on this, I would like to bring in Dr. Doug Graham. Doug, welcome. So lovely to have you here. Doug, we have to unmute yourself. You have to unmute. I will have to do the same.
It's still a treat to be here, and I'm really happy to be with you, Doreet.
Thank you. Nice to have you
I
back.
hope you come to my kitchen and make food for me. You make it really sweet. That looked good. That looked really good.
Well, you know what, Doug? Soon we'll be able to ship things through the internet to the UK where you live.
Well, it's funny because I've been teaching raw chefs now for almost 40 years, but still every chef brings different textures and flavors and combinations to the table. So what I just watched you make, I've never would have made that for myself, and yet I would have enjoyed the heck out of it if I'd ever thought of it.
That's what a lot of people say about my meals. That's exactly. I do not do recipes. Mm-hmm. I do meals, which is different, I think. So even though I have 2 recipe books, it was very difficult for me to write them. And I only did it because the publisher insisted that there would be over 350 recipes in there. But for me, I work with a person according to what they want, what they like, and what they need. And I love the fact that you work with athletes, because it's a big difference too when one can actually change around a diet to suit the person. And that's what I love about your work.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
So I know people are tuning in today to learn how to winterize their diet from Dr. Doug
Absolutely.
Graham. So take it away, Doug.
Okay. So first of all, I want to say Doreet made a lot of good points about winterizing. I think everything she said was quite valid. And there are other ways to deal with the unique challenges that winter might pose if you live in a climate where winter is a factor. And how long winter is a factor is, depends on where you are. But I found this. These are some of the tips that my favorite tips. And the first one is to go with the seasonal foods, because nature provides us a bounty. Nature provides us with something every month of the year, sometimes every 2 or 3 weeks. There's more food cycling through all the time. And I mean, currently it's December, but throughout the winter, we're going to see pomegranate. November and December, we saw, so much persimmon. Passion fruit is in season now. Pear is, you can't get better pears than you're going to find in the late autumn and early winter. So using those foods more at this time of year than you would perhaps at any other time of year makes a ton of sense to take advantage of that specific season. The citrus is just coming into season. It's going to get sweeter and sweeter as the winter progresses. And knowing that and utilizing that makes all the sense in the world, because the biggest complaint that I get from people about winter on a raw food diet is that they go, well, yeah, but the winter's so long and the variety is so short, and we get tired of eating just apples, bananas, and oranges. Well, actually, that doesn't happen to me. I haven't had a banana in almost 2 months because I've been eating persimmon like there's not going to be a tomorrow. I know there's not going to be by the beginning of January. Persimmon is going to be a thing of the past. And then I'm so looking forward to bananas that I could eat them for a month or two, and I'm not going to feel like, oh, I'm tired of them. It's been nothing but bananas forever and ever. That's not the case. I'm really looking forward to my default fruit, my standby guy, my go-to guy. So first of all, there's that. Second of all, think about flipping the earth upside down. Go to the other side of the earth. If it's winter here, well, it's summer somewhere, and there's summer fruits coming in. And if you can find good access to quality summer fruits that grew on the other side of the world, well, they probably got shipped to us within a day or two. They haven't even come ripe yet. They're not picked any earlier than they would be in our summer. So take advantage of the summer that's happening somewhere else and have a taste of summer even in your winter. Another thing is to make peace. I mean, if you've got bananas, if you've got pears, you've got apples, well, let's make peace with what we've got. Consider those the staples of wintertime. And then you go, well, okay, these are my staple foods now. Let me look around. What variety can I find? If you haven't, there's so many fruits in the market. Even in the winter, there's so many fruits that it's easy to eat a wide variety of foods. But even then, if you try to have everything in one dish, it's going to be hard to have much variety. In order for me to have completely different meals all the time, each meal different than the last, especially for my dinner meals, I keep my salads very, very simple. So I might have lettuce and tomato in one salad, cucumber and tomato in a different one, celery and avocado in another one, and keep my salads super, super simple, 2, 3, 4 ingredients. But if I put 20 ingredients into every salad, it's going to be the same 20 ingredients. There's not a lot of room for variety. If I want to feel that I'm having more variety through the course of my winter, rather than being crushed by winter, I know I need to simplify my meals, and that way I can actually have more variety of meals. You'll find, though, that even with all of that, that some of the fruits are just not as sweet as they are in the bounty of summertime. And so if you knew that if you eat 6 peaches in the height of summer and you're completely full and you're happy for 4 hours, you might eat 6 peaches now and they'd be nowhere near as sweet. They won't hold you for as long, and that it just takes more volume. This can be difficult for some people to get used to the idea of eating more volume in order to get enough calories. And that said, it's important to get enough calories from your fruit, because if you don't eat enough calories to satisfy yourself, you're going to be driven to eating more and more fatty foods. Well, I'm not against fatty foods. I eat lots of them. I eat avocado, I eat nuts, I eat seeds. But I don't want to be driven to eating them because I simply wasn't full enough from the fruit I ate. I want to enjoy eating some nuts or some seeds or an avocado, and I want to enjoy that as in addition to satiating myself by eating enough fruit. So you got to get a little bit used to eating a little more volume, or make particular attention to getting enough calories from eating highest quality fruit available, and sometimes even relying upon some of the dried fruits that were at their heyday in the summertime. Well, now we can go to dried figs, we could go to dried dates, we can pull out the dried mango, we can pull out the dried pineapple, and all of those fruits that were in their heyday in the summertime will now be available to us to use a little bit of, in order to supplement what would otherwise be somewhat calorie deficient fruit. And you go, oh yeah, but if I add in 4 dates into the rest of that meal, now it's a little sweeter. So this is important. There's another way to deal with the volume. And some people tell me it's cold. I don't know. It's the same temperature in my house, whether it's summer or winter. And I eat indoors most of the time. So I don't really think of cold as being a factor. But some people say, nah, it's cold. I want to eat a little warmer food. Fine. Use your dehydrator. Dehydrator allows you to reduce the volume a little bit, which works to your advantage, and warm up the food, which works very nice. I mean, it's a very good sense in your mouth to have something that's a little bit warm. And you can make some dishes that you wouldn't otherwise make. You can make vegetable balls or burgers or stews and things that are warmed up in the dehydrator and not so voluminous that you can't consume a sufficient quantity to satisfy yourself. Which brings me back to the citrus. As I mentioned, citrus is getting sweeter as the winter progresses, and I want to take advantage of citrus because, I mean, when in season, this is height of season for the Florida time. I know California has its own citrus season, but Florida's citrus comes December, January, February, March. So let's take advantage of that. Let's utilize that. Let's see how many different kinds of citrus can you eat during the course of the winter. There's a dozen you could probably try. And it's important to do that for many, many reasons. There was a guy named Linus Pauling who back in 1952 won a Nobel Prize for his research on vitamin C. He said we needed to consume, if you're a lady, 2.5 to 5 grams of vitamin C, and for a guy, 5 to 10 grams of vitamin C per day. He's talking, I mean, it was such a high amount. It was almost 100 times as much as what the average person on a standard Western diet eats. But he said if you eat that much vitamin C, you're literally bulletproof in terms of getting ill. So I looked at my diet, and my diet has lots of fruit and lots of vitamin C and lots of vitamin C rich vegetables. And I did the analysis, and lo and behold, I'm getting between 5 to 10 grams per day, every day, of my vitamin C, just like Linus Pauling said. Now, people laughed at him. They said the only way to do it is to supplement, but it's not really true. All you have to do is eat health foods, fruits and vegetables, the stuff we're designed to eat. And we get as much vitamin C as what Linus Pauling was recommended. I mean, the man won a Nobel Prize. It had to be, there was good information there. And the odd thing is that he did it through science, whereas we could do it in the reverse. We could just say, oh, well, let's see. I'm eating fruits and vegetables. How much vitamin C do I get? I get the right amount. Linus Pauling won a Nobel Prize for doing that. I think it's kind of funny. But if you increase your vitamin C rich foods, now you're eating very water rich foods, and water rich foods can sometimes work against you a little in the wintertime. You might get a little bit cold if you take in, if it's not warm enough as you're drinking it. That's a lot. Water has that, a high specific temperature, and it's hard to warm up water if you drink cold water. So one of the things you can do, even when you're taking in oranges or orange juice, is you can add a richer fruit to it. So I'll very often blend mango with my orange, and it makes it more of a smoothie, makes it a little bit richer. I'll put peaches in or pineapple in. Almost adding almost anything to it will make it a richer flavor. And to me, it just, again, gives me the variety factor. So I can have orange juice and strawberries one day, and orange juice and blueberries another, and orange juice and mango another. And I just keep getting a different before dinner drink to make sure I'm getting enough calories from fruit so that by the end of the meal, I'm not driven to eat a whole lot of nuts that I'll probably regret if I eat too much of it anyway. So to me, how do I winterize? For me, I think the biggest thing I can possibly do is get outside. Oddly enough, get outside. Take advantage of the fact that it's chilly out. You're not going to break a sweat when you go exercise. That's kind of a treat. You're not going to get dehydrated when you go exercise in the wintertime because it's just chilly. But you get outside, when you come in, you can really appreciate how warm it is, how pleasant it is to have a warm, safe, comfortable home to come back to. But out in the outdoors, the air quality is always better outdoors than it is inside your home. So if you can get out, breathe some fresh air, get some sun on your face, get some daylight into your eyes, all of your organs, all of your glands, every cell of your body, in fact, improves in overall health when we go outside. So get outside, whether it's day or night, and breathe some of that fresh air. That is a big deal. As I mentioned, if you find yourself being driven at the end of a meal and you go, oh man, I just got to have something heavy. Well, that's telling you that you didn't have enough fruit during the meal to meet your caloric needs. And that's a great road sign to learn that, oh yeah, I got to eat a little more fruit. The cool thing about winter, pardon the pun, there's so many vegetables that are specifically winter type vegetables that you can go, wow, great. I can enjoy broccoli. I can enjoy cauliflower. I can enjoy so many way cool vegetables that are at their peak of season in the cold weather. For me, this is a real treat. That kale is at a peak in late autumn into the winter, and then again in the spring. So if I'm going to winterize, I'm going to winterize by taking advantage of the winter. I want to make use of that. I definitely stick with a whole, fresh, ripe, raw, organic fruits and vegetables as the mainstay of my diet. I always want to be increasing the percentage of whole, fresh, ripe, raw, organic plants. It's a simple, basic concept. And if you're doing that, whether it's summer or winter, you're going to have success in terms of nutrition, in terms of health, and winter will be easy. So for me, if I want to winterize, I just eat what's in season and know that nature's already taken care of this issue for me. And I'm looking forward to rhubarb, the very first fruit of the spring season. Comes out a month before berries. It's your first intense vitamin C source that grows in a cold climate. So I don't really think there's a lot to it. I don't make a big deal about winter, summer, spring, or fall. I love every season. They all come in with a bounty of fresh fruits. And over the years and with a little practice, you too can learn what's in season this month, what's in season this month. And actually, although I call it January, February, March, like everybody else does, on my calendar, I kind of think, oh, it's lychee season. Oh, it's persimmon season. Oh, it's tangerine season. Ah, it's strawberry season. Peaches are in season. Mangoes are in season. Apples are in season. Pears are in season. Pomegranates in season. And it just takes me right through the year. So for me, that's winterizing.
Wonderful. I love it. And you gave some information about this beautiful fruit that I love so much. And what I do is
Triumph persimmon.
dehydrate it. So, because it's such a short season.
Yes.
This way, I know that come January when there are no more, I've got all of these. Because, and if you know anybody who's Japanese, let them show you how they do it without a dehydrator, how they dry it. They actually hang it up and they have to massage it every day. And
you take the skin off of it and then hang it. They put a skin on it, take the skin off, and let it dry naturally.
Yes. And it actually brings out the sweetness even more that way rather than dehydrated. But if you don't have a place to do so, of course, then yes, absolutely dehydrate. No doubt about it. So what I've done with the soup here, and I want to give a shout out to Melissa and Desi and everybody else who's tuning in, is I have decorated it a bit. I have put some other things in there. So these are onions, which I dehydrated. And I have that in the winter when I don't have time to do that. Only in the winter I dehydrate. I never eat dehydrated fruits in the summer. We have so much luscious foods in the summer that have so much moisture and juice in them. And this here, if you look at this, these are shiitake mushrooms, which I marinated. So those are shiitake mushrooms in there because I love shiitake mushrooms in the winter. And then these are the sprouted pumpkin seeds, of which I spoke before. Of course, this is some more cayenne pepper because I'm a pepper person. I love pepper. And there's a little bit, for those of you who love nutritional yeast, I've sprinkled a bit of that on there as well. So this is to your health and your wealth, because your health is definitely your wealth. And I'm so happy that Doug came back this year to give us some more of his wisdom. And hopefully, Doug, when we go into summer, you will be back. And I don't think it will be as a problem for people then, because they seem to much prefer eating raw especially the raw fruits, especially the fruitarian diet in the summer, which makes a lot of sense, of course. But I'm so glad you were here today.
Thank you so much for having me on board, Doreet. Really appreciate it.
I've always loved your work, and I really congratulate you for staying so fit despite the fact that you're indoors. And I love the fact that you did speak about getting out and breathing fresh air. It's not just about the food or the food being raw. We need breath even before we need the food. We can last without food for a while, but we cannot exist without oxygen. And we need to keep that exchange, getting the carbon dioxide out and bringing the oxygen in. Movement is what I use when I'm in a climate. When I was in Canada, in Montreal and Toronto in the winter, what I did was I just exercised more. It was really easy for me during the winter because I did a lot of exercising. In fact, I really exercise in the summer at all. Because it's for one thing, it's too hot, and I'm too busy eating all those summer fruits. So, Doug, many thanks, and
thanks for having me here.
Hope to see you back in a few months' time.
Me too. Thank you again.
And to everyone tuning in, I will respond to some of the comments later, but next week we're going to be having Tanya Kaye, who's an actress and TV and film producer and director, and a burlesque dancer who's also a raw food chef. And then the week after, the last Sunday of the month, same time, we're going to be having Dr. Brian Clement from Hippocrates Health Institute. And we look forward to seeing you each Sunday. Please spread the word. We want people to know that there is a way to go through winter and not allow yourself to fall prey to the fact that most people around you are eating overly cooked foods, extremely hot, piping hot, that you have many different ways in which you can not just survive, but thrive during the winter season. Thank you, Doug. All the best.
Bye-bye.
All the
Go to
best,
health,
everyone.
everybody.
Thank you. And I will see you all next week here again at 11 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Until then, be well, be mindful, be bold.